Engage.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Winners Don't Use Drugs, presented by Engage Gaming, episode 92. I'm Darius, here with what percentage of Nolan?
Oh, God, I don't know. You know what? We go 85.
85?
Yeah.
Ooh, big, strong numbers.
I got some pills that actually curbing my nerve pain right now, so.
Okay, that's good to hear. Good to hear.
Still there, but just numbed.
Sometimes you just got to not be 100% here. How you doing, Zach?
I'm here.
Here we go. Okay. I wanted to get into the how absurd some of the stuff that Sega did conversation, because it's always funny, because that was like the first time I was watching, like, the Atari feeling that everything was like almost a given, just because once the NES killed it, they never figured out what to do after. It's like everything they did after was.
I mean, the NES didn't really kill it; it killed itself. The NES kind of stepped in the void.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
historically.
Well,
like Nintendo didn't kill Atari. Atari was dead long before they came along. And don't forget, Nintendo came to Atari to release their console because they thought nobody in America wanted to buy a Japanese gaming console. They thought Atari was too big, but the video game industry crash had been 3 years past, and Atari was like, we are not doing that. We do home computers now, sir. So then Nintendo was like, well, I guess we'll have to try it on our own.
I mean, it worked though.
It worked. Oh yeah. Yep. They started in like 2 or 3 stores in New York or something. Then they expanded to Chicago, and 85, 86, 87, 88 rolled around, and the rest is history.
Man, I remember, like, Atari just constantly doing just awful whatever console things they were trying. It was just,
well, yeah,
it didn't work.
Well, yeah. Once the NES came out,
yeah,
now they were like, hey, well, you know, we have this stuff still sitting in the shed back here. We can go ahead and push this stuff back out. If you all like games, we got games. And everybody's like, yeah, we don't care about your games anymore.
Your games is all score based. we want games that have actual, like, we want games to talk to us and tell us that our princess is in another castle.
That's right.
But no, like, the Sega thing is funny because, like, now, you know, I'm a kid of the 90s. Like, I'm born at the end of the 80s. Mm-hmm. And so, like, Sega at the beginning is like, hey man, they got some stuff over there. You know, I got a Genesis after having an NES because, hey man, Mortal Kombat got blood and Sonic is using blast processing. So I gotta see what's going on.
Man, you had to have it.
Hey. But then it was starting to be like, okay, you know, we got the Game Boy. In the Game Gear, we all admitted hardware wise, like, clearly it's better.
It was better, yeah.
But you can't keep it on, so it doesn't matter.
It lasted like, all of 15 minutes on 8D batteries.
Like, it was preposterous.
It wasn't 8D batteries, but it was a 6As.
Yeah, because it's like the Game Boy uses less batteries.
I think we used to joke it needed 8Ds.
Oh, it probably did. It probably needed to be 40 pounds, just full of batteries, and it would have been fine.
But that thing was awesome, though.
It was super.
You
cool.
were playing Genesis games in your hands.
That little Sonic game that came with it, I was just like, hey, it for this bus ride, because our bus ride was only like 10 minutes. It was really cool, but the light will come on by the time we got to school. So that was just, it was wild.
Yep.
And then they did, like, you saw like the Super Nintendo come out, and in our minds it was the Genesis versus the SNES, but really, the Genesis was really originally made to go after the NES because they tried with the Master System and it failed because the Master System was just like it just felt like a dev kit of a Genesis. It's just like a boring version, except for Shinobi.
Shinobi, yeah, that was pretty much it.
It's like we got the real version of Shinobi, but other than that, this is just all like not quite finished games.
Alice Kid was okay.
Yeah. But when you got to the like, you got to like 93, 94, it's like, hey man, we're starting to notice that Genesis really ain't.
It was rough for a while.
It's like, hey, we clearly see that, you know, it's starting to sound like it's in a factory with metal clanging against each other. And if it's not Sonic, then most of the sounds don't sound. It sounds like the third-party games sound like downgrades.
Yeah, because it was, I mean, it was tough because the Genesis didn't have a sound chip, an internal sound chip.
No.
So if you wanted to do good sound in your game, you had to use the RAM on the cartridge. The SNES had a sound chip that handled all of that. Now you got to do is tell the cartridge to tell the sound chip to do this, and it could do it well.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Like those little things, and being able to hear stuff just a little bit better,
or just the music. And because I remember first time we played A Link to the Past, it was like, it sounds like an orchestra, man. This is insane.
It does.
And then friends of our, one friend of ours was like, oh, no. You hadn't played Final Fantasy II. Best music in all the games. We were like, bull crap. Nothing be better than A Link to the Past. So we went over his house one weekend to spend the night, and that was when we first saw FF2, and we fell in love with it. And dang it, he was right. That music was amazing. Mm-hmm. But we also brought Link to the Past over, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's pretty good too." So
what's crazy about the Genesis is that you have Streets of Rage 2. Music is
exquisite. Yeah. It's funny. I don't have as big of like nostalgia for those games because I never really got into Streets of Rage until like within the last 5 years, to be honest. We played the first one.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is I played the second one first.
You see, we played the first one.
You played the first one. Everybody's like, I played it. I was like, oh, this is like Double Dragon 1.
Kinda.
But like after,
and why did they put the special attack button on A? You know how many times that we start the game up and the first thing you saw was that cop car come up and the missiles come out?
So I've already used the special move.
Immediately. I'm like, all right, so I hit A. What's this?
We're not getting another one of these until stage 3.
Until stage 3, yeah.
This is gonna be bad. Thank you, Nolan.
Yeah.
You want to just hit the reset button?
I mean, that's basically.
All right, cool. Let's just do that. Yeah, no, I know. Like when I was a kid, and I would tell people about how fun Streets of Rage 2 was. They was like, I mean, is it like the first one? And I'm like, I guess. I don't know. And they would be like, I mean, it's cool. And then they would come play it and like, oh, this is way better than the first one. And we end up renting the first one. Like my brothers had already played it, but I had never played it. Mm-hmm. And I ended up renting. I'm like, no, come on, I want to play the first one. I like the second one. And we rented it, and they was like, I'm telling you, man, you're not going. It ain't quite the same.
It's not quite the same. No.
How do you do the grand upper? He don't got that on this one. And I wanted to play Adam because we played the second game. The whole second game, the purpose of it is you got to rescue Adam. And I'm like, hey man, I want to play with the main black guy, not his little brother, and I want to play the game you could play him on, and he's just a black guy skin of Axel. It's not. It was not that good, and it did the dumb ending at the end where you could like become the bad guy. Like they'll tell you want to join the gang or do you want to take them to justice, and if one person says join them, which my cousin would always just jam the A button, so I'm like, we gotta fight each other now, so this is cool. No, the Genesis going into like the 32X and all of that, everybody was kind of just looking around being like, hey, what are y'all doing over there? What?
Just trying stuff.
Yeah, because it's like you guys really just getting folded by Nintendo. And Sony's coming out with some weird thing. We don't know what it's going to do. But
some stupid thing they're calling a PlayStation?
Yeah.
The hell is a PlayStation? I'll never forget reading, pretty sure it was EGM, the issue after E3 or Tokyo Game Show, whatever show they announced what they were going to call the thing. And I remember everybody was like, that is the dumbest name for a console I've ever heard in my life. A PlayStation? Sounds like a damn garden toy that you give your kid to keep them occupied over the summer. The hell is a PlayStation?
That's exactly what it was.
It definitely turned into that.
Well, yeah.
That PlayStation, my boy. Yeah, no, it was weird going into like Funko Land and like they're talking about Sony's got this CD thing, and the only CD game that I really remember, like besides the Sega CD, was the Philips CDI, and I remember just like everybody universally made fun of that thing all the time. Like there was one in the Funko Land that I used to go to as a kid, and it would be like they would have that wall. They had this wall, and they would have like 8 TVs, and it would just be each generation of console, and they would have like a controller. Sometimes they would have 2 if it was like the Super Nintendo and they had Street Fighter or something. But you could tell which ones were like cut on and nobody played, and then which ones were like people had been walking up and playing them and stuff like that because of how the controller was.
Mm-hmm.
CDI and the controller was always just perfectly sat in the middle.
Yeah, it's clean.
Yeah, just yeah, like the buttons work all crisp and everything, you know. And it was just like, yeah, this thing is awful. So when we heard about the Sega CDs, like, come on, man, CD stuff is terrible. What are you, the Jaguar? What's happening here? And then the Saturn comes out, and the Saturn has like it's near arcade perfect stuff. And I was like, oh, this is super cool. But then I just remember like probably 6 months into the Saturn being out, nobody really ever talking about anything about it. And they would show like, hey, you know, what is it? Children of the Atom is coming out. Oh no, it was what was the first one? Was it X-Men versus Street Fighter? Because Children of the Atom's not on the PlayStation, if I'm not mistaken.
Children of Atom. It didn't come out on PlayStation. Did it come out on Saturn?
It did. Because it could run it.
Well, you had to have. I know most of those games you had to have. No, Marvel Superheroes, I think, was the first one to come out on the Saturn.
Was it Superheroes?
Because a friend of mine had it, and he had to import the RAM expansion.
Oh, okay.
Cartridge.
Well, I just remember like in the like you're talking about EGM where they would say like, hey, the Saturn version is better. Like that would be the thing.
Oh, it
they
definitely
would say.
was. Yeah.
But nobody cared.
Yeah.
Like
unfortunately,
just nobody cared about it at all. And like it was weird to watch like Sega kind of fall apart like towards that time.
Yeah,
because Dreamcast comes out and the Dreamcast is incredible,
amazing.
But it was also like weird where it came out, it was super cool like 3 months in, and then it was like, hey, so this PlayStation 2 thing is gonna happen real soon.
Yeah,
and don't even worry about the Dreamcast. It's already dead, folks. Trust me, it's like, what are you talking about? Sonic Adventure came out, and that's incredible. And
9/9/99 happened, and it was amazing. And starting on 9/10/99, the countdown began.
Yep. Like it was like Sega would do something, and even if it felt like it was good, it didn't matter. Like it was just that don't. I remember playing NBA 2K and being like, hey, I've never played a basketball game this good. Like I've never played a sports simulation game that feels so much better than any other sports simulation game I've ever played at this point. Like, because by then you had like, I don't know, like 5 different NBA franchises that came out. You had In the Zone, you had what was 989's version of basketball? I can't even remember. Inside Drive.
Okay.
Was it Inside Drive? It might be Inside.
Maybe.
You had Live, but then you had just like these random sports games that like ESPN always had a game on like the PlayStation 64 era, and they were all like mediocre. But it would just be a bunch of mediocre basketball games. And 2K comes out and it's like, hey man,
2K,
what is this?
Because I remember when NFL 2K came out.
Yes.
The original one.
Yeah.
It was okay, gameplay wise. But if you walk by it and you just saw it out of the corner of your eye, you thought you were watching a real game.
Yep.
The camera angles, the animation, it was just like, it was crazy.
Yep. How they were talking, and like they would be doing like if somebody had like a 70-yard pass, they would go back and show the play real fast, but they would do it differently than Madden. Madden used to be like, when they showed a replay, it was like, all right, show you this replay, one camera angle, this is what happened. 2K started doing you watching the play and the camera angle is changing while the play is going on. It's like, oh my goodness. It's very, very close to TV production value.
The NBA 2K was immediately the best basketball game to me anyway.
Oh no, it was weird because there was that period before, because 2K, the first 2K that was on PlayStation 2 was 2K2, if I'm not mistaken. It's either 2K2 or 2K3. I want to say
2 or 3, yeah.
But I believe only the first 2 came out for the Dreamcast, and the next ones came out for the PlayStation and Xbox.
They had to.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But I just remember everybody talking, like in my neighborhood and stuff about we could play live for fun. If we talking about who's the best at basketball video games, it's like we got to play 2K. We can't. Like, it's immediately making live seem like NBA Jam at this point. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But again, they was doing all of that. The commercials. Remember the commercials where you had all the different Sega characters in the 2K? It was like Allen Iverson and Afro Thunder was all hanging out with the girl from Space Channel 5.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like all of that stuff, and it was still like, that's cool. this is dead in 6 months. You know that, right? Like by next holiday season, nobody's gonna ever care about this ever again.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I remember kids miss school to go get PlayStation 2s, bro. I've never seen anything like that.
I mean, shoot, you almost had to. If somebody had it, you had to go get it right then.
Yeah, well, it was like, I'm talking about like the day it came out, 5 dudes from my class, for my grade anyway, because not all of them, we had classes together. This was middle school. But five different guys from my grade were not in school that day. And it was like everybody knew, although they're getting PS2s. And they wouldn't even know games for it yet. It was like you could get like game day and like you could play your PlayStation games on it.
Tekken Tag was on it. That was a launch game.
Was the launch game?
Because that's we had Tekken Tag, Street Fighter EX 3.
Yeah, EX3.
And I want to say an Armored Core.
EX3 was the launch game?
Yeah, EX3 was a launch game.
2 fighting games. Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
We had 3 games, I remember, at launch.
I remember Tekken Tag being around the launch time because it was a blue bottom disc.
Yes, which was an issue.
Yeah.
Because those things, the disc readers on those first launch PS2s didn't last very, very long when trying to read certain discs. So we must have went through 8 PS2s throughout his lifetime. Probably 10, actually.
Wasn't the Bouncer launch title? Or was it their like launch year?
I don't know if it was a launch title, but it was definitely one of the early games for it. So I remember playing it and going, huh.
Hey, man. We need a remake of the Bouncer. Okay?
Why?
It's a square beat 'em up. You know me, I don't care. I'll make an exception for any beat 'em up version of a game. We can do Phoenix Wright beat 'em up. I'll be like,
it came out 2 months after the launch of the system.
Yeah.
2 months after.
It came out on Christmas Eve.
Nice.
Oh, that's right. I remember because I worked.
That's such a weird date.
That's a very Square trying to make things a
that.
big deal in a weird way type of release.
I worked that day. I was working at Toys R Us when the PS2 came out, and man, yeah, that was an insane time because the PS2 come out and then you couldn't find it.
Yep.
Then if you could find it, you couldn't find you couldn't find a card to save the games with. So Mad Cats came out with theirs. And
that black and yellow memory card went double platinum.
Yep. Sony couldn't make enough, apparently. So Mad Cats of all companies, who, keep in mind, at the time, they were like, you didn't want to buy
persona non grata.
No.
Because the PlayStation era, I had an orange Mad Cat controller, and one day it stopped working, and one day the second slot in my PlayStation stopped working, and I was like, hey, we're going to have to
Yeah. Yeah, we had Mad Cats memory cards for our PS1, and all of them were junk, and their controllers were abysmal. Who was the good third-party manufacturer?
The Mad Cat's controller, you basically playing on handicap mode.
Oh, I forgot who was the good one, but basically everyone knew you don't buy Mad Cat stuff. So when their card was like the main one on the PS2, I remember I would have to show folks, it's like, okay, so we got these Mad Cat ones, and everybody be like, It's like, hold on.
I understand your concern.
Yeah.
let me let you know.
Sony, it would have the Sony seal on it because Sony was like, we can't make enough of these things. We got to help somebody else make them so we can cover demand. So there it was. I still got mine somewhere.
I know we've sold at least a couple of those.
Shoot, that's almost all we sold. I mean, we rarely ever got the actual PlayStation brand cards in. And whenever we did, it was like 8 of them, and they were gone the same day.
I had to buy the red and blue double pack when I got my first PlayStation 2 because of that. Like,
that's all that was there.
Yeah, because it was like it wasn't even any Mad Cats. I was at my first PS2 from Walmart, and we went over there, and I'm like, yeah, I gotta get a memory card. My dad's like, it's a memory card. I'm like, you got to be able to save the game. He's like, whatever, son. Go get it. Because I got it. Like, I bought my PlayStation 2, and then I was like, we're getting ready to leave. And I'm like, oh, snaps, I got to get a memory card. And so I went over in the section, and like you said, there was the little black ones, not to be found. There wasn't even the yellow and black Mad Cats ones. And I'm like, bro, I got to pay like $40 because it's a 2-pack. I was like, I don't even need 2 memory cards, bro. It's like the PlayStation 2 memory card, unless you were playing multiple franchises on Madden and Live at the same time.
Yeah.
You didn't need but 1 memory card.
Yeah.
But I definitely had a red and blue one, and I just told all my friends to put their saves on the red memory card, which nobody ever listened. Like, No, it asks you before you save memory card 1 or 2. There's 2 in there. Just put it on number 2. That way I'll never mess with it. You don't have to worry about. When you put it on the blue one, I'm gonna delete it. I promise you, I'm gonna delete it. I just move it over.
I'll delete the shit out of it. You don't listen?
But I don't want to punish people that way because I know I'd be hurt. But at the same time, it's like
The only way they're gonna learn.
yeah, it's a simple request, right? I'm not asking you to like not save your game. I'm just asking you
Just
to
put it over here.
Yeah. But I know what it is though. You want to put it on the memory card 1 because you want to feel like you're putting it on the main one. But it's my stuff, bud. It's not yours. It's okay. If we were at your house, you could put it on memory card 1, but you're not. So please listen because I don't.
I would delete it in a heartbeat.
I'd move it
I'd
once.
stare him right in the eyes and delete it.
Like a serial killer. Oh look who saved in the wrong spot. Oh, I see the move option. But I see that delete option.
I had one request.
I asked you to do one thing.
I don't ask for much. I'm a generous guy. But anywho,
Wow.
what's going on in the world of gaming? What's been happening?
Microsoft finally making headway.
Yeah, it's about time to seal the deal, man. We're done with the shenanigans, right?
I mean, kind of.
I know they're not. It's not officially like the ink's not dry and all of that.
Well, apparently the ink might be dry as soon as tomorrow.
Yeah. By the time you're hearing this, they may have locked it in already.
So yeah, but yep. I guess the court ruling came in last Thursday or Wednesday or something like that, and the courts were like, hey, FTC, you guys can't block it. You didn't prove your case that it would be antitrust thing. They would be too big. There wouldn't be any competition. And Microsoft has come out and said, and this weekend
They signed
deals.
They signed a deal with Sony, put it in writing.
Yep.
Which they always said they were going to do.
Yeah,
So they even signed a deal with Nintendo. And they're all like, we don't really care, but okay.
I mean, if you want, Nintendo's like, cool. If you want to put
if you want to put your stuff on our system, okay, cool.
it made absolutely no. If you sat there and thought about it logically, it made no sense for Microsoft to make Call of Duty exclusive.
It was never, it was never going to make sense to do that. And what killed that court case was when Sony came out and said, no, they didn't even think they were going to do that. They just basically came out in a minute and was like, we were trying to stop it because we didn't want them to do it.
Yeah.
We didn't want them to have a win, more or less. We thought it would hurt them if it didn't happen, so we were going to try to stop it.
Yep.
So you didn't really try to stop it because of any kind of antitrust stuff? Nah.
We
just didn't want them to do it.
Over 1 million emails.
1 million.
1 million emails trying to find
documents. one shred
of evidence that they would not put it on PlayStation if they had the license. And they were like, Microsoft's like, we told y'all that's stupid.
Almost from the jump. They were like, of course it's going to be on everything.
So I understand the concern that any gamer would have about everybody being under the same umbrella. Like if all the companies are owned, like all the developers are owned by one or two companies. I get that. Like that's a valid concern, right?
Mm-hmm.
The problem with the idea that companies shouldn't be allowed to be bought, because that's basically what I've started seeing people just flat out say, like, well, companies shouldn't be a big publishers like Microsoft shouldn't be able to buy, a AAA developer like Activision. And it's like, okay, look, you want games to be made. You want the highest quality of games to be made, which oftentimes correlates to the highest amount of money put up to fund the completion of a game. Yet you don't want the people with the most of that resource to be in a position to fund those games, but you somehow want the best, most polished, if it's a AAA, the most grandiose, in-depth package. I want to pay one flat rate and never, buy DLC or anything else for the game. I want all of it in one package, but also not from them.
Yeah, it's I think part of it's fanboyism or whatever you want to call it, from like Sony fanboys, but also people just don't understand how businesses work, and they think fucking resources come out of nowhere.
Yeah. Like
it doesn't cost money to make these games.
It keeps costing more money.
And it's costing more and more.
Even the games that people look at and go, well, that game, look how simple it looks. It's like, yeah, you think that, but anything. First of all, anything running on Unreal Engine, even just Unreal Engine 4, it's like, you know how much that costs to just get the assets and pay for those things alone, and then people who work on games, they although they get worked a little unfairly in a lot of cases, they're all still getting paid at least base salary. Like it's not cheap to have, a team of 15 devs on one game like that. Everybody's getting paid. Then you talk about like the artists, which is those are different people, right? Like people that's doing the graphics for the game are not the same people that are making sure the gun fires accurately. Like these are totally different people that are doing all of these little jobs that are supremely important to the overall package and important on their own. Like
it all add up.
It all adds up. But you want Call of Duty to give you all of the Call of Duty stuff, but you don't want anybody to put up the money if that means that they have control over if you get an extra skin by having Game Pass. I'm like, because that's the other thing. It's like, are they going to put it on Game Pass? And it's just going to be no reason to get it on PlayStation. It's like, what do you really think that Microsoft's going to do for the Game Pass version of Call of Duty? At most, you're going to get you're going to get some version of a base package for free at the most. More than likely, you're going to get some lime green Xbox colored skins and like XP boosts. Those would be the things that you actually get from it. Maybe, right? Yeah. Maybe, you know what? Maybe we get the campaign for free. Oh, snaps.
No,
they broke the game. Like,
that campaign that you don't even play.
Exactly. That we play.
I play it.
It's fantastic.
That's almost all I play of the game.
It's fantastic every time, but you're not playing it. We know you're not playing it.
Yeah. I probably put more hours into the campaign this time around than the multiplayer.
Very true. Like,
but what's crazy is I believe if Nintendo bought Activision or Sony bought Activision, it would still not be smart to do an exclusive deal with yourself.
No.
But I could see Sony doing it because
Sony would do it in a heartbeat.
Just because they're fucking petty like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see how when Microsoft was trying to buy this whole deal, Sony's been petty through the whole thing.
Sony's been petty at every opportunity. If they are the A side, if they think they're the A side, they get super petty.
What's even crazier is, so during this whole time, Sony's been buying companies while actively trying to stop.
We only did that because they bought Bethesda. But if you go far enough back, which is another thing that came out during this case,
during the whole thing,
Sony technically started this whole buying developer thing, but they were like, yeah, but Microsoft kind of escalated when they bought Bethesda, and they were like, what do you mean? It's like Sony basically admitted they didn't know they could buy Bethesda. They didn't know that was the option.
They didn't know it was an option.
So and because they didn't know it was an option, they felt like it was unfair that Microsoft knew it was an option and did it. And they were like, but what if you knew it was an option? Oh, we would have bought them. We just didn't think we could. We didn't think we could buy Bethesda. We thought we could only make deals
Sony
with
at the time was just trying to secure rights to 2 specific games just to only be on PlayStation. It never occurred to them we could just buy the company. It's one of those things.
That's right, because they got Deathloop and
you never asked.
Ghostwire.
Yeah. And it's like, had Sony asked, hey, you guys are up for us trying to buy you? They would have probably been like, sure.
They basically was like, Bethesda said, hey, so Microsoft came up to us with a number, and we were like, oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll take that. They like, it wasn't even there was no long discussion. They was like, hey, so Microsoft are offering X $billion to buy us.
Yeah.
And the dudes was like, yeah, I think everybody will be on board with that. Yeah, we're going to cash out. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we can cash out. They can get some more money to make this Starfield thing that's probably never going to come out. Hey, everything's good.
Oh, it will.
Well, what's crazy is, I don't know if Sony thought Bethesda was worth more than it was. Because, I mean, if you think about it, they only have a few games. It's not like they have like a huge library of games that are making millions and millions of dollars off of each game. They have literally 2 games, Skyrim, or Elder Scrolls, and Fallout.
Yeah, but we
Bethesda
could make other stuff.
Bethesda, you remember, bought a bunch of other smaller companies right before Microsoft picked them up, like in the years leading up to it. Anyway,
Yes,
Right,
they got
yeah. They got
Deathloop.
ID
So, yeah.
and they have ID, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was the biggest deal.
But they, because the people that did
And
Deathloop,
Arcane.
Arcane, yeah.
that was
Ed and Arcane came along with that too. So it was kind of a big deal, but had technically Microsoft bought ZeniMax,
that's
which used to own the 2K series stuff too for a while, but then they sold it off to whoever has 2K stuff now. So then it would have been the guys that own Rockstar.
No, Interactive.
Interactive, yeah.
Is it Interactive?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's who owns all of it.
So, but they used to own it.
Yep.
For a little while. So if that was still in there too, then it would have been a much, but like, what? They own Elder Scrolls and the NBA 2K series? It would have been insane.
That's why Starfield's such a big deal, is because it's the first time they've made a brand new game in 25 years.
Yeah.
And it was like we've been waiting for the space version of what they've done with Fallout and Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
It was like
I keep wanting to call it Skyrim.
Oh, yeah.
It's been the game that they've re-released the last 15 years.
That's their fault for what they did to the Elder Scrolls brand with Skyrim.
Hey, I mean, if it keeps selling, why would you stop?
Hey, we heard you getting the new 2024 series Sears refrigerator, the GE refrigerator. Guess what comes pre-installed? That U2 album and Skyrim.
Exactly.
So I never downloaded. Yeah, U2. What is this doing on here? Yeah, we got you. We got you. What is it? What was the other one they used to do? Adele's Rolling in the Deep. They would just put it on.
I don't know about that.
Oh yeah, they put it on like a Microsoft thing. I don't know, because it was like post Zoom stuff. I guess they still owned it. Still owned that album to put on stuff. But I got the PC the first PC I built. I was like loading up whatever the Microsoft Store Windows Media Player, and it was like, you got Adele's Rolling in the Deep. I guess I do.
Okay,
sure.
Cool.
Didn't ask for this,
but yeah. What were you talking about?
The Microsoft deal. And
Activision. Yeah.
Like the Bethesda thing comes down to that they got Ghostwire and Deathloop first for like a year, and it really didn't. Those games end up not being as big as Sony thought they would be, as far as, because Sony. I understand Sony's thing about the first party stuff, but sometimes they get so weird with it, of being like, trying to make it so like closed off away from the rest of gaming. And they do it. And I don't know how they see Nintendo do things the way they do, and they just can't figure out how to do it that way. Because Nintendo has figured out how to just stop competing with everybody else, like be in the exact same space, the gaming space, and just be like,
doing
like
their own thing.
Yeah,
you guys keep fighting. You still fight. We stopped fighting that GameCube stuff because that we figured out.
Yeah,
that was us trying to fight directly with you guys, and it didn't work the way we wanted.
Yep.
So now we just do Nintendo stuff. And people love us. Nobody really hates us. They don't even see us. Well, weirdos hate Nintendo. Weirdos hate Nintendo. But like,
there's no reason to hate Nintendo.
There's no reason that.
If you're a content creator, you might not be a big fan of them.
I understand. I understand wanting to be allowed to do things, but unfortunately for you, if a person who owns something tells you can't do it, you don't get to just do. I know it. Sucks.
It sucks.
I know it does. Trust me.
And it's that's one of the things, is that you got to keep in mind that Nintendo is still a very Japanese business.
Yes,
they think whatever happens in Japan happens in the rest of the world, and they still don't understand this whole internet thing. We're slowly.
We're almost there though. We almost have a usable platform.
They're slowly getting there, but they don't.
And it's not like they shut down everything. You can still stream Nintendo games like no problem.
But you can't make money off of it. They will copyright strike it and demonetize it as soon as it goes up, unless you work with them, unless you were in their special program that they created for YouTube and Twitch that doesn't even exist anymore. So if you're streaming or putting up a Nintendo video of something, you're doing it because you really like the game, because you weren't making any money off of it. So
we would like to sue.
That's basically it. So, But I'm sorry to interrupt you though, but I had to.
I
I had to put that in for the folks who were probably screaming at their heads. What are you talking about? Nobody hates Nintendo. It's like game wise, no. Like you said at that point,
Yeah.
only weird folks are like, just anti anything that they do game wise. Oh, they only make kid games. Oh, their games look like crap and blah 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 blah. Meanwhile, folks like me are sitting there playing, Dread and Tears of the Kingdom and just enjoying life.
But when Mario Wonder comes and those little plants are talking weird and he's tripping balls, I'm gonna be like, yeah, look at this.
Yeah.
But no, I think when you look at the way like gaming competition is, it's like they acknowledge they do these weird things, right? Well, sometimes Sony and Microsoft pretend like the other ones don't exist. Mm-hmm. But we'll always acknowledge Nintendo and be like, oh, The Legend of Zelda, incredible series, like the stuff they're doing over there, Nintendo is great. And when we look at innovation, we try to look at, how can we do more things like that where, it's about the fun and all this other stuff. But also, if we had a chance to fight Sony to the death, we'd do it right now in front of you guys. Like, tell them to put their president up against our president and see what happens. It's like, what are you guys talking about? We're talking about video games, right? Hey, no. And it's not even that we're competing with Sony, but if we could murder them, we would. Buy our games. Get Game Pass. Game Pass.
Get Game Pass, yeah.
And more than anything, I know that a lot of people hate the idea of Game Pass getting more stuff. Because like that's the other thing is it's not the Call of Duty being like day one Game Pass. It just seems terrible business wise, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, the option of having some stuff, one automatically on Game Pass, like whatever, all the different games that they own.
That's what folks keep forgetting because the fight, particularly over here in America, was really about the one game.
Mm-hmm.
But Activision also has Blizzard.
Not even just Blizzard. Under the Activision umbrella, they own so many IPs.
Yeah. And now
a lot of Sony exclusive IPs too.
Yeah, used to be.
Yeah. But Blizzard has already come out and said Diablo will not be on Game Pass.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking you're gonna wait a couple of months and then Diablo 3, 4, right? Yeah, is gonna be on Game Pass, you are wrong. Because they came out and was like, no, you giving us your money.
Yeah, I mean, again,
I wouldn't be surprised if I see it on Game Pass in the next 6 months.
They've said so far there's no plans to put it on Game Pass. Now,
I think when the DLC
that's what
comes
Blizzard
out,
says, but Blizzards aren't the boss anymore.
I think whenever the first DLC comes out, we'll know what's really going to be going on.
Now, would Microsoft? Yeah, sure. If when sales finally start slowing down for it, oh yeah, in a heartbeat. But if sales are still strong in 6 months, I don't think Microsoft's going to push them.
I give it
do
6 months to a year, and we'll see.
6 months to a year, sure.
We'll see it on
I think if sales for that game are still strong, and Microsoft, who again, in all of this whole hubbub, has come out and even admitted that, oh yeah, Game Pass has probably hurt sales of certain games, especially ours. Would you? Because the second you announce that thing's going to be on Game Pass, folks are going to stop buying it.
Yeah, that's why they're not going to announce it. They're going to just one day it's going to show up.
Yeah, and I think that's why why Activision and particularly Blizzard has already come out and said no, it's not going to be on Game Pass. Don't even think about it.
Why would they even announce that? That'd be super stupid.
Yeah. Right. Oh yeah, because people will hold out.
Because folks will hold out, exactly.
Because that would hurt Microsoft too. Because Microsoft's about to own them, and
exactly
they get those profits.
Yeah,
I think the first big DLC for Diablo 4 is going to determine how they really move forward with it. Because to Nolan's point about it, if the sales are still strong, you might do some sort of reduced bundle or something like that, some sort of collection, right?
Yeah, you already get the
sales. I wouldn't be surprised if the first DLC comes out and that's when it goes to Game Pass.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
And then you have to buy the DLC for your Game Pass game.
So just the base game will be on Game Pass.
The base game goes to Game Pass, sucks you in. Oh, I really like this for people that never tried it because for whatever reason, and they're like, oh, I want to buy the DLC.
Or they give you that trial version.
I mean, that's what Blizzard did
3.
anyways. With
I mean, have they done that with any
Diablo 3?
Basically, first. Well, I mean, but this would technically be a first party.
No, I'm saying
Blizzard did
this with Diablo 3. They made the base game free, and you had to buy the expansions.
Okay,
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm trying to think of any other game Microsoft has done this with specifically on Game Pass. But since Diablo came out before the merger, it technically wouldn't be a Microsoft Studios game that they.
I know there's games on Game Pass where you don't have the DLC that you have to buy the DLC.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was thinking of the Doom games. I don't think you can still get the first Doom on Game Pass. I think it's only the second
first
one.
remake. Yeah.
About the Doom Eternal.
Yeah, you can get Doom Eternal, but you still can't get the original Doom, the first Doom. Now, the older Dooms, of course,
right?
Those are there, but not the first remake, recent remake.
Yeah,
Doom.
the 2018 version.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, you still can't get that on there. So I guess that kind of shows that. Yeah, so they could definitely do that because that's technically. I'm guessing there's still deals in place where that's still just a multi-console game. It can never be exclusive or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
There must be something. There must be some contract somewhere that says that this game can't be exclusive to one thing for however long or whatever. Because I was like, oh, you know what? I never played the original Doom, and I forgot it's an Xbox game. It's technically an Xbox game now. I'm gonna go play it. It's not on here.
Nope. Nope, it is not.
So,
well, I think you start to see, like we talking about Game Pass, like the thing they're gonna use the Activision stuff for is like you can put all the old Call of Duties on Game Pass.
yeah,
Like that's the stuff that's gonna be really good. Not gonna go back as far as you would like, because I know, bud. Put your head
Actually, I
down.
wouldn't be surprised if
I'm pretty sure you.
actually, that would be awesome, man. If I can go back and play Call of Duty 2. Shoot, I'd love to go back and play the
Big
original
Red one.
Yeah, Big Red one.
Never. Console exclusive bull crap.
But those are the things I would expect to see on Game Pass from that acquisition. Is all of that stuff.
Oh yeah, the old
There's
stuff.
some other stuff I want to talk about before we move on from Call of Duty though. There's been a couple leaks
Oh,
for Call of
word.
Duty. So we're still supposed to get one this year.
Oh, so they
There
are
still
going to
hasn't been an announcement. The rumor is it's supposed to be Modern Warfare 3.
I'm out.
But next year, there's already rumors of next year's Call of Duty, and it's going to be Black Ops Gulf War.
That's what Larry was telling me about. He was saying it's supposed to be the Gulf War next, and I was like, huh.
Which I think is, so is the Gulf War, is that, yeah, fuck. When I first heard it, no, that's Desert Storm.
Oh, it's the one. It's
Gulf War is 2001, 2002, right?
No,
Gulf War is Persian Gulf, right?
yeah, Gulf War was.
But that was called Operation Desert Storm.
I mean, it was all kind of the same thing.
Was it?
Desert
I was a little
Shield.
kid at the time.
It started as Desert Shield,
Desert
then it turned into
Shield.
Desert Storm, and then it eventually became known as the Gulf War.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're talking late 80s, early 90s, right?
Mostly
it'd be
early
91.
90s, yeah.
Early. Okay.
Because it was the reason
I
I know
remember-
that is because my dad got out of the Marines just before all that stuff started.
For real?
Yeah, so he got really lucky.
I remember it started when I was in the 6th grade, and by the time started 7th grade, it was already over. And I remember thinking in my head, we're learning about World War I and II, and wars last for years, and this one seemed like it was over just like that.
Yeah, it didn't last that long.
It didn't last very long at all.
This is the Saddam Hussein?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I remember I remember being 12 years
First
old
iteration.
Yeah,
and thinking when the war ended, Saddam Hussein was still in power, and it was like, well, they say this guy was so bad, why is he still there? I don't get it.
Well, we know we reached an agreement, and, we got an understanding for right now. He's on a short lease, though, so if he does anything, too wild, or if we decide he's doing anything too wild, it will.
Then some crazy guy in Afghanistan does something, and somehow he gets killed over it.
Yeah, but he had weapons of mass destruction.
But he was a bad guy. But we knew that for like 10, 12 years.
Hey, man, geopolitics,
I was like, we already knew he was a bad guy. But he literally had nothing to do with, what, I'm not even going to
Yeah, weapons of mass destruction.
Again, we knew this.
So that's some of the Call of Duty rumors that are going on right now.
I mean, that'd be cool. I
The
like
rumor
when he.
for the Black Ops Gulf War happened because the voice actor of the main character,
Came out and said something.
it was found out. I don't know if he said something directly, but
They found out he was doing voices for the character again.
yeah. It's a new character.
Oh,
Okay.
really?
Yeah, for Gulf War.
Well, I have, bro. They be putting.
I mean, yeah, the same characters
Because the difference
from the other Black Ops. So there's a couple.
Yeah,
characters
but all those were fairly
over.
close. But Cold War to Gulf War, that's like 20 years, isn't it?
About 10.
So yeah, what was the first one was?
You know, because it was
First
it
one was
Cold War like in
Vietnam.
the 70s.
70s, 80s.
Was
yeah,
it
80s. It was 80s. Yeah, because
Oh.
you remember.
No,
Reagan.
I never
Yeah.
played through it.
Oh well, yeah, it was definitely the 80s.
Wait, did I? Yeah, I never. I don't. No, I didn't play through the campaign on that one.
That's a good game. But yeah, that was definitely the 80s. So this will move up
okay.
10 more years.
10
or so.
years. Okay. Well,
So
I
you'll
guess it
probably
could
see
be-
some people.
You'll probably see the dude with the shades, and I don't remember anybody's names now, but yeah,
The not Modern Warfare people.
yeah,
That's pretty much what it is.
basically. It would be
Once,
cool if
once
they
we,
kind
once
of.
we
I only
stopped doing
played-
the Ice Cube and
I
stuff.
think I only played the first Black Ops campaign. I don't think I played any of the other Black Ops campaigns.
The Black Ops 2 campaign was just a continuation of.
Yeah, I don't think I played it. I think I only played the first one.
It was
Because the
good.
first one had JFK in it, right?
First and second
What-
one.
I thought he was dead by the second one.
The first one.
Oh yeah, they just had him in the weird zombie stuff they started
Nixon,
doing.
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I don't think I played that one.
Or was JFK in it too? Because I remember it had that zombie mode where you can play with.
You was playing as Nixon in the zombie mode.
Yeah.
So as I said, they started doing that weird thing where you were playing.
So it went on to Nixon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I played that one. And then
Oh.
4 didn't have a campaign.
No, it was online.
Yeah,
only.
that was the one where they
The
had
BR only
Yeah.
with multiplayer.
the powers and stuff. I don't know.
It was okay.
I thought it was weird that you had these like the rechargeable abilities that was basically you could get, 1 or 2 kills, and some people charge faster than others, and every time they released the operator, people had all kind of like even better abilities, and it's just
It was the foundation for what we got in Warzone.
yeah.
Actually,
I mean, going from
Yeah.
Black Ops 4 to Modern Warfare 2019, that it was a step in the right direction, and then they did Vanguard and because
I watched you play most of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
The campaign didn't seem bad.
No, the campaign. That's the thing. Is like we played a campaign. I'm like, okay, I was starting to kind of get into it. I'm like, okay, I can see me playing the multiplayer of this. If like the guns are going to be similar and stuff like that, that's fine. And then you get into the multiplayer, and it's like, okay, the first thing I realized playing the multiplayer of that game is one, the time to kill is super fast. But then you start to not be able to tell who's who because all the operators were the same on both sides. Like the thing that Modern Warfare 2019 and most of the games did was like, it's 2 sides. Even if we don't want to, because they were trying to get away from like.
Well, I mean, I think the operators always look. I always have a hard time telling by looking at operators. The HUD was terrible in Vanguard.
Oh yeah, I mean,
It wasn't fast enough.
by the time you realized that was an enemy, he shot you.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay. So here's the difference, though. You're playing Cold War. If you are on whatever the blue side is, you can only have these operators. The red side had these operators. So, like, the skins and stuff would only be for those particular people. So, if you played it,
Wasn't it the same in Vanguard?
Huh? No. So, okay, so that's what I'm saying. This is why Vanguard was awful. One of the many reasons. So, you played Cold War, Modern Warfare 2019 enough, you start to know, okay, when I'm this character, that means that those people are on the other side. I know that every time. If I see them, I got it. You play Vanguard, first of all, everybody's wearing that greenish brown, like, World War II, every color's the same thing. But then you could have the same operator on 2 different teams with the same skin. And now, we're waiting for the HUD to tell me if it's an enemy or not, and he just slit my throat. So it was clearly an enemy. I didn't get time to figure out if it was, though.
Wait, so was Vanguard not Germans versus Allies?
No, they started doing like
They did
all these specialists on just it's like almost like training exercises against each other, which is like, okay, cool, that nobody's really dying, I guess. All right, whatever. But now I can't tell because they're like they had the one they're the two young ladies you unlock by default, and then like the 2 guys, and it's like the 2 young ladies look very similar. One had slightly curlier hair than the other one.
Yeah.
But it's like they could be on either team, so I don't know who. Again, I don't know who's.
Yeah, I
on
think I
which team.
only played the beta on Vanguard.
It just
It was terrible, and I was like, I'm done.
everything sounded like it was in a tin can. All the guns sound like typewriters. Just So
But some of the things I'm excited of possibilities with this Activision Microsoft deal, and I think we've talked about this on previous podcasts, but maybe getting World of Warcraft on the Xbox.
Yeah.
Yes. That's and that's the stuff I'm thinking about, like Game Pass is like, oh, they might give out, Warcraft 3 Reforged on Game Pass, and maybe they try to.
I mean, pretty sure they're giving that out now, aren't they?
Probably, I don't know.
I'm sure I have it on
seeing
Activision's thing.
Maybe revitalizing Heroes of the Storm on Xbox.
That would be a good console MOBA.
Making it a console MOBA instead of a PC MOBA and trying to capture that space, because nobody's really captured that space except for Pokemon United.
And Smite.
Finish StarCraft Ghost.
Buddy,
that ain't
you gotta let that go. That's dead. It's super dead.
I don't even know what. I mean, I know what it is. I remember I kept up with it because
I have the magazine, the announcement magazine still. Mm-hmm. It's in my closet.
I've never been a big StarCraft fan. I've never been a big Warcraft fan, even though I should be a huge fan of both of those because I loved Age of Empires and I loved Star Wars Empires at War. And everybody's like, you would love these games. And I tried. I played Warcraft 1 and 2, StarCraft 2, StarCraft 3. It's just something about those games.
How did you play StarCraft 3?
Is that not StarCraft 3? Okay, StarCraft 2, whatever. Okay. I know I didn't play the first StarCraft, but I played whatever the newest one. I take that back. I did play StarCraft 1. I played that first, and I didn't like it. And then I went back and played because a friend of mine, that's what it was. He gave me the older games. He gave me Warcraft 1 and 2. And then he gave me StarCraft because he knew I loved Age of Empires. He knew I loved whatever that Lord of the Rings strategy game was. That was absolutely fantastic. I cannot remember the name of it.
Was it Battle for Middle Earth?
Maybe. I remember it was like one of those games. It was like the
played on console and PC.
It was PC. I played it on PC. I don't know if it was on console or not.
Yeah.
But I remember the big deal for me about it. You had the heroes that each had their own special abilities, and then if your units survived, they got like stars or something, and they became stronger and harder to kill.
That's just like Warcraft.
Yeah, and I had a group of horsemen that were like completely like 5-star or whatever the maximum was, and they were like unstoppable. I'd always keep them in the back. I'd have my heroes and other soldiers in the front, and then I'd have the horsemen sweep through and just kill everybody and then go back and heal them up and push forward more. Oh, I love that game. But either way, he knew I loved all of that stuff. So he's like,
that sounds like Warcraft 3.
It's like you have to try these games, and I don't know what it is about Blizzard games. I recognize that they are fine games. I'm not saying they're bad games at all. There's just something about Blizzard stuff just doesn't work with me for some reason. It's weird.
It's a contrarian in you.
No.
It's like, oh man, look at everybody enjoying this stuff.
No, it's not.
I'm not gonna poo-poo on it, but
I just don't enjoy it as much as everybody else does. And that disappoints me. I hate that. I hate it when that happens, when somebody just loves something so much and they want me to love it too. And I go into it and think I'm gonna love this thing, and then I don't. It's like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, but I kind of felt the same way with StarCraft. I remember trying to play that because I like the Command & Conquer games.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is like Space Command & Conquer. Because I played one of my favorite Command & Conquer is Tiberian Sun, which is more of the, it's a
little more sci-fi.
Yeah, it's a sci-fi element to it. So I'm like, okay, cool. And I remember doing like the second or third like intro mission on StarCraft and being like, nah.
That's about where I stopped. Yeah.
I can't. This ain't.
It just didn't work.
It doesn't pull me in
for me. And then I played the newest one too.
Well, I played Warcraft 3 because Ronnie had that, and he wanted to show it to us, and by show it to us, he wanted to fold us in. So we actually were at the docking station, and they had multiple copies of it, and so he's like, "Yeah, we set up a LAN party and everything." I'm like, "Cool." So I'm over here just trying to gather wood, and all of a sudden, Ronnie shows up with the what's the dude from Warcraft that has like the blindfold and the two swords? Maybe he doesn't have a blindfold, but I
don't know.
He's like I guess it's like elves. Maybe it's the elves or Dre now.
Oh, Illidan.
Yeah, he had Illidan. He comes over and he's like, swap. I was like, hey man, I just built that lumber mill. What are you doing? He's like, what are you talking about? We got to fight. I was like, what do you mean fight? I thought we were making societies.
Yeah.
I thought we were just making little peaceful societies and coexist. And he came in with just slicing up my whole village.
Like,
and I was like, what's the point of this game? And he's like, to win.
It's like fighting me in Age of Empires 2, and I just show up with with the who do they used to play with? The Teutons with the elephants. War elephants, man. Just bam them up against any wall that you have and just stomp over. Oh, so great. So great.
Zach and Jonathan tossed me and Steven into the deep end of Age of Empires. I don't appreciate. I respect that game for exactly what it is, but I didn't have fun not one time playing it.
Age of Empires 2 is the best
because it would be like, okay, I'm starting to make a little headway, and then Jonathan shows up.
It wasn't just me and Jonathan either.
Oh yeah, we had like 7 people in that room, didn't we?
I think it was 5 because I think Ryan was there too.
Yeah. Well, I was like, so I'm starting to get like, decent amount of resources and stuff. Why are these orange boatmen at my front gates? And Jonathan came over and killed my whole thing. And so we are like in the call together, and I'm like, hey, so what I'm supposed to do when like I don't got no more people? Like how do I restart it? And they were like, you don't.
You don't.
You failed as a society.
I didn't even get that far.
I'll never forget the longest Age of Empires game I had. Me and this guy played for like 3.5, 4 hours. And it was because he was smart. He left one person he would send to different corners of the map. And so every time I destroyed one town, he would have one person start to build a new town center.
That's not smart. That's being an asshole.
Well, then I'm like, okay.
And not just accepting defeat.
It's like, I'm sure I killed everybody. What's going on? So I send
this new society.
I send a scout horse out, and then I finally found one of his new towns and immediately destroyed it, thinking, game over, I got it. Wait, how is the game not over? He's still got somebody. So I go down to a different corner of the map. He's building a new town center somewhere. I had to destroy 4 different towns before I finally defeated him.
Nope.
I was like, that was a good idea though. But by then,
after the first one, I won this game. I don't care what the thing says when I leave.
Oh no! I mean, it wasn't even close. I mean, I completely demolished him, but every time he tried to, I was going to eventually find him, so I would immediately wipe out his next place.
I'm not trying to play hide and seek.
Listen,
but yeah, I mean, he was never going to win. Obviously.
Our descendants shall know what you did to the previous towns, and they shall fortify themselves even more.
Oh no, he didn't have time. He had one person to build a town center so that he could build houses, so that he could build more town folks to make more money to build military stuff, to possibly build a wall. But by then I was already there, and I stomped all over his new stuff. If he try again,
you guys feel good about like taking a whole civilization out of existence?
I mean, that's the point of the game.
That's
if you weren't smart enough to build a wall as soon as you could to protect yourself, and then build up your army, and then open up the gates and unleash hell, I can't help you.
Well, they sent me a copy of the game on Steam and told me to join, accept the invite, Nolan. What are you talking about?
You had some more playtime than that.
That's the first time I played Age of Empires. I don't do real-time strategy games because I don't want to have to be responsible for that many people. I'll do the campaign because I'm supposed to win. I'm the hero. But don't be making me go against everybody else. They working at maximum efficiency. I'm like Finland. Like we doing pretty good given the circumstances, but we ain't really made to like expand and conquer. I
mean, nobody really wants us anyway. We're mostly ice up north. Yeah.
Not to Finland.
So, but anyway,
it'd be cool to see what the I believe that this isn't necessarily it's not the loss for video games the way a lot of people are trying to make it seem.
Absolutely nothing's going to change. I mean, nothing's going to change if you only own a PS4 or PS5 or whatever, it's going to be exactly the same.
Yeah.
Everything's going to work exactly the same. If you own Xbox stuff, you might get access to a couple of more things on Game Pass. That's really going to be it. They tried to treat this as if this was Microsoft trying to buy Nintendo or something. And then the two of them combined would clearly be the number one company.
Yeah.
And then, it'd be hard and even then it's like, well, I mean, Sony still exists. They're still big, but you put the Switch sales and Xbox Series sales. I mean, Switch is already number one. So, I mean, they would just be, number one and a few more.
Yeah. Microsoft had to admit that they were number 3 and that they could never figure out how to not be number 3.
Basically.
Which, I mean, to me was a feat in itself of being able to sustain when it seemed like nobody else could break into the business. Like Sony broke in, and them breaking in almost assured that Sega would fail long term.
Basically.
And so it was like Microsoft trying to come in with this Xbox thing. You're probably not going to make it just because it didn't seem like it was enough space. But they scratched and clawed and like really innovated in a lot of ways. And I know this is going to sound like I'm just over here blowing Microsoft, but you have to make it realistic, right? You have to be honest about this. Mm-hmm. They, as much success as they had, especially over the last 2 generations, they were clearly behind.
Yeah.
Like the 360 was such a win for them in a lot of different phases. One, getting a piece of the actual like game, like the gamer pie.
Yeah.
The 360 is where they really got a piece of it. Like the Xbox wasn't bad. It did a lot of cool stuff and it laid the groundwork for a lot of really, really cool things in gaming, but it wasn't a huge success. It's like it didn't fail, but it wasn't super successful. Mm-hmm. 360 comes around and it's like, now they're starting to have things that they're looking at Nintendo and Sony being like, well, why don't you have this? Microsoft has this in their system. You know, why don't you have party chat? Why does your online store take 72 hours to load? You know? And then Sony, without really admitting it, essentially has to do the stuff that Microsoft is doing for their system to seem like it's relevant.
Yeah.
Now you have to have party chat. Like they could have come out with the PS4 and not had that function. They spent the whole PS3 life cycle lying about it.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be in the next patch. Don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a person who didn't even, bro, it never crossed my mind to buy Xbox One. Like, I saw the Xbox One and they was talking about watching DirecTV through it and the NFL games, and I was like, okay, cool. Sony got some games over here, and you don't seem to really be doing that right now. So yeah. That's cool that y'all want to watch cable through the Xbox. That seems like a neat thing.
They shot themselves in the foot at the beginning of all that shit when they came out with the DMR stuff.
They never even really came out with that. That was something. Well, no. If you go back and look at it got leaked because somebody after that whole thing.
Yep.
Dude talked to somebody in the press and he was just saying stuff like stuff that he had heard. He didn't even know what they were really planning to do. But so he was talking to this guy from the press and he's just like, well, I know, they're talking about doing something. And he happened to mention the stuff that nobody wanted. And it's like, he didn't mention all the other stuff that would eventually become Game Pass, which is kind of the joke of it all now. They were trying to do Game Pass back then, but the only way it would work was
he had to be online.
He had to be online.
Yeah.
So he only
it is now.
He only knew of the plan to try to get folks online and try to keep them there so that they could then issue them games, but he didn't mention the issue them games part.
Yeah.
He only mentioned the rights management stuff more or less. And everybody's like, excuse me? You want me to do what? Which is funny because, of course, Sony comes out and just slaps them in the face and is like, hey, we can share games. But yet when their PlayStation system went down, their totally offline games also didn't work.
Yeah.
Because somehow a totally offline game that had no online functionality at all still had to contact the Sony server.
Nah.
Isn't that what Microsoft was talking about doing? That was like the biggest sin in the world?
What? We don't remember that.
It's because it was the way that it was presented.
Yeah. It wasn't presented. That's what I'm telling you.
Well, it was presented by that dude.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the way that it was presented to the world,
unfortunately,
ruined it all.
Yeah, because they didn't have time to make a conversation about it.
Because, I mean, obviously the backlash was just so severe. They must have been like, get this moron out of here.
Completely redo what they were going to do with the Xbox.
Yeah,
bro, when you make it to
ideas
CNN for not breaking sales records or not like having like the next craze, and they're talking about how like, hey man, I don't know about this Microsoft stuff over here. And it's like, because by then, like even if you have the correct information out there, it's too late.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing you can do.
And see, the whole thing was they were still only talking about it. It was never something they were going to do at launch. It was something that they were going to eventually put into it because they were talking about doing Game Pass all the way back then. But when the backlash came, okay, we'll have to scrap all of that, obviously, because everybody think they don't like the idea. And then slowly but surely the whole industry has already moved that way anyway.
Well, I know, again, what hurt them was you watch the actual first, like, when they were showing the PS4 and they're showing the Xbox One. And me and my friends were talking when this happened, and we were like, hey, they didn't really talk about games, though.
That's true.
They kept talking about integrating your TV services through it. Because remember, it came with the coaxial cable and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, those are neat features, but we want to know what are we going to be playing? Because I can't play NFL Sunday Ticket. Like, I can watch it, It's like,
you got to play the shit out of it.
It's like they didn't show Madden. Like, they could have showed Sunday Ticket and Madden, and it would have been like, oh, okay, so I can play the game and then watch the game. All right, that's great. But they was just like, no, but look at all these cool things and look how it integrates with the Surface. And it's like, hey, man, I don't know if y'all noticed, but not a lot of people have a Surface and not a lot of people are going to buy a Surface.
Yeah.
I know you want this to be a thing.
I have one. I really like it.
I'm about to say, to be fair, anybody who had one,
I bought someone a Surface and they loved it. It's just that I knew that it wasn't going to be something that was going to be around like that.
I think they underestimated the pervasiveness of smart TVs, how many folks weren't going to have cable anymore.
That was the wrong, if that function was in the Xbox, the original Xbox, right?
Yeah, the original Xbox.
It would have been amazing.
It would have been like,
when the Xbox
would
One
turn into
came
a smart
out,
TV.
people still had cable.
Yeah, but
It was just bad timing.
yeah, it was bad timing. All of
Bad
it.
luck.
Yeah, and then it also came with that camera that a lot of folks really didn't want, but you were forced to get it.
It was at the beginning of the cybersecurity stuff where people are like, hey, man, you can't turn that camera off.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, what if it's like the power's off? Yeah, but it's supposed to be on so that it can hear you say Xbox on.
Exactly. So it's always on. And, it only hears you whenever you speak to it, but folks were proved that it was always listening to what you were doing. One guy left a Coke on his coffee table, didn't play his Xbox for like weeks, left a Coke bottle on his coffee table. Next time he finally turned his Xbox on, mysteriously he had a Coke ad, one of the little squares on his dashboard. Mysteriously there was a Coke ad there.
Coincidence.
Coincidentally, it was a Coke ad there. I hadn't even turned this thing on in like 6 weeks.
Don't worry about that.
I mean,
I'm a slob. I left this Coke bottle here, but
I mean, Coke could have bought ad space.
You know how many times have they done Doritos and Mountain Dew? Come on now. Coke is a refreshing beverage that you should be consuming. Yes. And because you said that, all of our phones are going to offer us Coke ads.
Not mine. I don't turn on any of the voice stuff. My phone is confused. It doesn't know me at all, and that's the way I want to keep it. I don't do any of that voice
crap. He's one of the guys that yelling at the clouds.
Yeah. Say, oh man, your FBI agents still be watching you. You talking about?
Oh, yeah. Look,
they know everything about you.
I know that they know.
Yeah, they probably know more about you than they know about us because you tap in with the IRS and all that.
Oh yeah.
Well, no, yeah. I'm totally registered. I had to send my fingerprints to the FBI. Register with all of that stuff, and if I ever commit a felony, they'll know in a heartbeat. I know. Yes, I am in the system.
I'm pretty sure I'm in there for different reasons, but I get it.
So that's definitely a thing. So, going back to the whole acquisition thing, though, it's funny. Well, they're supposed to be talking to the CMA. In Great Britain sometime soon, because now the CMA, who up until last week was still against this whole thing, it's kind of like they're stuck, because it's like, well, if we still don't say it, Microsoft now will just go okay and just not release stuff in Great Britain anymore. So,
why would they?
And people will still acquire it. So
yeah.
Like they're gonna get it if they really want it.
If they really want it, like I said earlier, they're either gonna take a couple hour tunnel ride to France and pick it up, or they're gonna turn the VPN on and be in Botswana and buy it there.
I feel like if you show up being from Botswana, you might get put on a watch list just being like.
Well, why? What did Botswana do to anybody?
This don't sound bad, but I feel like they got enough resources that the people who have the internet are already on like a list. So if anybody extra shows up, they're like, they're not really here.
Yeah, they are for here.
Yeah.
I don't know who this guy is. but yeah, it's basically a done deal. And now the appeals court is going through, and the FTC is appealing it, which they're trying to hurry that up through to August. so that the appeal can go through. But again, they're looking to ink the deal as soon as tomorrow. So the FTC wouldn't be trying to stop the acquisition at that point. They'd be trying to overturn it,
which is much harder.
Which is much harder. And they've already lost the case of why this shouldn't happen to begin with. So it's pretty much a done deal at this point.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think there's going to be a lot of change for most gamers. There may be some perks, and there may be some people who get to play some older Activision or Blizzard games that they, used to have, or, for whatever reason. I want to see what it's going to do with to Zach's point about stuff like Heroes of the Storm, and also WoW. We talked about that before. Of like, do they finally figure out a way? Does this give them more of an incentive to figure out like a console version of it, just for the sake of trying to push it on more platforms?
Or even if you have Game Pass, does that mean you have a subscription to WoW?
Ooh,
I mean, I thought about that a while ago, but
that would be a good perk. Like just by default, that would be kind of
that would be crazy. But I don't know. It'd be interesting. It's like, because what folks who already subscribe to it think. Like, well, just get Game Pass.
Yeah, well, I mean,
you can have WoW and all of this other stuff.
That's going to be the thing, because you can already link the BattleNet accounts to Xbox Live and vice versa, and same with Activision accounts.
Yeah.
So if I'm not mistaken, a WoW subscription is $15 a month, and the Ultimate Game Pass is
$16.99 now.
Yeah, 17. Yeah. So you pay a couple extra bucks,
and you get Game Pass too. It's like, that's not.
And knowing Microsoft, they're gonna do that thing that they do where they're gonna say, hey, you already got X amount of months of WoW already. Pay $1 and convert it into
Game Pass. Yeah. So speaking of which, you see they're getting rid of Xbox Gold.
Yeah, they've been talking about it for a long time.
September 17th, I think.
It converts over to Game Pass Core.
Game Pass Core, yeah.
Which is basically Xbox Live and 25 free games.
Yep.
Nice.
Well, you get like a snippet of
Live.
Of actual Game Pass.
Of Game Pass, I mean. Yeah.
I mean,
basically.
So you don't get the full Game Pass unless you upgrade.
Yeah. And August will be the last month that you get games with gold. So they're finally doing away with that. I mean, they've run out of games. They said a while ago, we're running out of games.
Didn't they rotate some other ones that they had already?
They've rotated some back in. Mm-hmm. There was a few months there, especially with the old Xbox and Xbox 360 stuff. There was a couple of months where it would come up. It's like, oh, cool, I already own that game. Okay. And I know I never bought it, so I must have gotten it already through that. The one that I still so mad that I missed was Garo. For some reason, the Microsoft Store wasn't working, and that was the last day I could get it. And I kept hitting the button on the website to add it to my thing, and it never did. So I was supposed to go. I was like, I'll just do it on my Xbox tonight before I go to bed to make sure I got it. Woke up the next morning, totally forgot everything had already switched over. I missed it.
Nice. I got that. I got it for Xbox.
I'm still so mad. I got that game like 15 times over on Lord knows how many other stuff, but I'm still mad that I missed it.
They give it to you on Amazon Prime once a year.
It's just about like how many SNK games are left.
No,
I'm always shocked when there's another new SNK game that I don't have on Amazon. Yeah. It's like they hadn't got through them all yet. My God.
Hey, when they put that one game where you played as Athena, like the side scroller, was it just Athena?
Yeah.
Was she in something else too?
So that was the original, and then there was another game that the Athena from the KOF game is based off of the other game.
Yeah,
the side scrolling shooter one with her and Kenso.
Yeah. It's like they put that on.
That's like Psycho Soldier.
Yeah, they put that on Prime Gaming or whatever. And it's like, I'm looking at my Amazon game library, and it's just like King of Fighters 97, King of Fighters 98. Okay.
Yep.
Matter of fact, they gave out 12 from that too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, all right.
Yeah, they're because I think this either this month or last month there was like 2 or 3 games that they put in there, all of them from SNK, and it's like I was shocked. I was like, I didn't know there were SNK games left.
Should think it was like Last Blade and all of that.
Oh yeah. One of the more recent games is actually like, I totally forgot about that game. This game is actually really good. I can't remember which one it was though, but it's like is like a very niche SNK game, which is already kind of niche.
Super
as it is.
Sidekicks?
No, but
that's the soccer game.
Which is actually okay too.
Yeah.
There was a baseball game I remember I used to play in the arcade. We used to play in the arcade as kids.
2020 baseball, Super 2020 baseball. It's the robot one where you power up and stuff.
Yeah.
That was on the SNES and the Neo Geo.
We used to play it in the arcade when they had the SNK cabinets that would have multiple games.
Mm-hmm. Press that blank button right there to get to the next game.
Mm-hmm. Well, nothing worse than accidentally hitting the wrong button and putting your money in and hitting the wrong button and playing the game that you didn't want to play.
Yeah, that's your fault.
Wanted to play Samurai Showdown 2. Now I'm playing NAM 77 or whatever it's called.
All right, so before we get out of here today, Exo Primal came out.
Yes, it did.
I think you played it a bit.
Yeah, I played about probably a dozen matches. So to kind of give people an idea of what the game is and how it works is you create a character and you're part of this crew who are like trying to help exterminate these rifts that open up and dinosaurs pour out of them. And something happens, you basically get stuck on this island, and every so often this Leviathan computer program teleports you and a bunch of variations of yourself to the island to compete in the exoprimal and the exosuits against these different rifts. And it's telling you that it's used doing this to get combat data, but you don't know why. And then also it's actually putting you in the past every time it does it. Mm-hmm. It's something they kind of explain like within the first few moments of the game. But in order to get the rest of the story, unlike traditional games like this, where normally the game comes out and you have two things you can go to. You can go to single player, you can go to multiplayer, right? This game doesn't do that. You get the story by doing the multiplayer missions. Now, you can just queue up for PvE, or you can queue up for PvP, and you'll still get progress, win or lose. You just got to play these matches, and then you get like XP and it gets more data and stuff like that. Sometimes it feels weird to have the story come in that form, but sometimes I'm like, that's, hats off for taking the risk on that type of delivery of story content. What are your first impressions of it, Nolan?
So I hadn't played the full release yet. I downloaded it yesterday, had every intention of playing it, I just never did. I watched you play it the other night.
Mm-hmm.
But I did play both tests though, and
pretty much that second beta is 100% the game.
Yeah, and I enjoyed what I played. And like I said before, I'm happy to see Capcom's back at a place where they can just try stuff again.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's cool because I think some of the best stuff that they ever made came out of them just doing stuff.
Yeah. Devil May Cry. Onimusha.
Lost Planet.
Like when they get
Beautiful
to try
Joe.
stuff. Oh yeah, yeah.
Okami.
Yep.
Which is really underrated.
Dragon's Dogma.
Dogma, yeah. Yeah. So that's cool. A lot of folks kind of dog on it.
Yeah, I was gonna say this game is definitely gonna fail though. I can tell you that now. Like I 100% know that the reviews are basically saying it's mediocre, which I knew would happen because there is an underappreciation for non-PvP games to a degree. And if it doesn't knock it out of the park like Monster Hunter, another Capcom game,
which didn't really catch on until
World,
yeah.
Yeah, like the handheld stuff started making it do a lot better, but at the same time it was like carrying like the PSP and the Vita, and there was nothing you could do to carry those things.
Right.
But no, I knew it was gonna fail. Like I knew the moment I played the first beta, I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be fun, but this is also not gonna do well. There's not enough people who it's like the Earth Defense Force games sell enough to get more Earth Defense Force games, but that company, that's kind of what they make.
That's what they do, yeah.
They don't put a whole lot of money into them.
Exactly. No. Especially, they basically get an engine and use it for like, several iterations and stuff like that. This isn't that. And you don't already have the built-in following of it. And You know, it's weird. It's it's very like, let's just do something and see. You know, you're fighting giant, or you're not giant, but like you're fighting dinosaurs. Like that's the main enemy that you fight. The PvP stuff, even when you get to do it, it's like, oh yeah, this is definitely not like the most like. It doesn't feel as polished as like Overwatch. It doesn't feel like a hero shooter when you're playing PvP.
Yeah,
it still feels
when you're
like
actually doing the PvP parts. I thought the exact same thing. It's like I feel like it should feel like Overwatch, but it doesn't.
It doesn't, right?
Yeah.
It feels like a lot more. You can. There are things that probably can get abused and you don't know, and like you might be like, I know sometimes I got killed. I'm like, oh, I died really fast there. It didn't seem like a ult.
The PvP parts are kind of unbalanced.
Yes,
because they're built for fighting, hordes of dinosaurs, not really each other. But then there are parts where you fight each other, and then like all of a sudden you're fighting, and all of a sudden you're just dead, and you're like, what just hit me?
Yeah, because it doesn't, like, even when you do PvP, it's still doing PvE stuff beforehand. So you'll do like 4 PvE missions, and then you'll do another set of missions, and out of those 3, the last part is PvP. So it's not like you're doing PvP the whole mission. Yeah. And it's not bad. Like, I enjoyed it. It's also one of those, like, I enjoy sometimes mindless. I don't need to think. I'm shooting dinosaurs in a giant mech, bro. I'm not trying to think about things right now.
It's definitely not you don't have to think very hard.
But also you have to play with other people. And you know what other people don't do? The objective.
Yes.
Not ever.
That cube.
Like, we're losing because they have 5 people on the thing and we have 2 the whole time. Yeah. The thing is going up faster. That many. Yeah. Oh, no, like that's what happened
when I played it.
Night.
It was just me.
So remember when you watched me play it was me in the tank.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, well at least I'm getting one more person. Hopefully other people, as we keep playing, people will figure out this is what they're supposed to do. Nope, not at all. I played, no lie, I probably played like realistically 8 matches, maybe 9. I got MVP. Probably half, if not at least 30, at least a third of the time. And not because I was like in the zone or anything. I was just doing the objective.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll ever understand that. Why people play games like that and not want to do the objective.
Oh, it drives me nuts.
It makes no sense. Like,
it's all
do
over
you not want to win?
The game is flashing.
It's telling you what to
Please
do.
Go here.
Now, there is a lot of noise in the game, and there is there's the voice, the AI guy, will be saying it, but you're also, bombs and stuff going off around, and you really can't.
There's a fairy thing that's doing this the whole time to tell you where to go.
Yeah, but it does show you where to go, and it says what to do. So
they literally tell you how many of each dinosaur you need to kill to progress to the next part. So if it's got like 10 pterodactyls and 80 velociraptor, it'll keep spawning velociraptors after you get to 80. There's 4 pterodactyls, and I'm playing the explosive guy, and he's not really good at shooting the flying things. But I can't be the only one trying to hit the pterodactyls, dog. Like, come on, man. Just like do what it says.
Yeah.
Why are we get more? You know what's crazy? You get more points when you win. They give you more XP. You get more loot boxes. Like,
maybe people don't care about winning. But then I say that, and then people fucking cheat to win. So I don't fucking know. It's like they can't read, so they have to cheat or something. Maybe they're illiterate.
Maybe. I feel like they're trying. Like, I feel like there are so many people who are like, if I'm not the best, I'll just ruin this for everybody else. So
sometimes,
I mean, I'm trying to rationalize why they're not doing it, but because this game relies on the competency of others, it's not gonna survive. Right. Like, there's just not going to be enough people who are already playing with their friends. And then the cross-platform stuff is kind of segregated still. So, like, if you have it through Microsoft, you can play with PC and you can play through the Xboxes, right? They all play together. But if you bought it on Steam, you can't play with anybody but Steam users.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
If you play on PlayStation, you can play with PS4 and PS5. And then, like I said, Xboxes can play with Xboxes and PC, but only if they have the Microsoft version. So, like the Game Pass
version.
Yeah.
That's so weird. So it's not really crossplay. It's like partial crossplay.
It's intra crossplay. Yeah.
So then that means that you have a smaller pool no matter what platform you're on. You're not getting to play with the entire like population of people who own this game and playing.
That's weird.
Yeah, because like when you play it, you'll see it show up like, oh, they're playing through the Xbox, so they'll have like the Xbox symbol, and then they're playing through the PC version, they'll have like their Capcom ID and stuff.
But I mean, I think putting it on Game Pass was the best idea they had.
Yeah, oh yeah, it was.
But it also kind of showed their confidence in how it would do. So it kind of hedged their bets here. It's like, well, let's just go ahead and get the Game Pass money at least, and if it takes off, it takes off. But if it doesn't, at least we got this for it.
Yeah, and it's not a bad game. It's not
No.
it doesn't play bad. The controls feel good. I don't think the mech roster is it's not the hugest roster, but it's not a bad roster either. You just have to earn some of the other. Well, there's like one in each category that you have to unlock, and it does seem like
the different
yeah. It does seem like those might be a little more efficient at their roles than the base ones you get. But I mean, that's part of it, right? You want to give people something to work towards.
Yeah.
If people leave the matches, the one thing I did find that was really good. People leave the matches, bots will replace them, and
They probably will help you more so than the extra
hey,
people.
bro, they're not terrible. Like they do the objective. You're not gonna have to keep reviving the bot version of a kid. Like they're doing their job. And I thought that was really good because that was one of the things I was worried about. I don't know if everybody knows that they have an ult because I feel like my team, like half of them don't do their ults, and they really make the process way easier. So like we had the Triceratops showed up, and somebody was playing the tank that like freezes them in place, or the support person that freezes them in place.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they take more damage in that when they're stunned like that too, because we just ransacked the Triceratops when they did that. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess, maybe I'm not paying attention and, I'm just not seeing other people do their ults. No, I feel like they're just not doing them. They're not maximizing it. And I know I'm like, the game just came out. There's no super efficient way to do stuff, but it's like, okay, there has to be a better than what we're doing though. Because we are significant. The game makes you feel bad too when the other team is doing stuff faster than you. Like that Leviathan's had very condescending voice. So he's like, you're completing objectives much slower than the other team.
Yep.
Hey man, shut up. We trying.
Some of you are.
Yeah. Oh, but all right. So for those of you who are watching, they go and pick up the T-Rex thing you can turn into. It's not really a T-Rex, but it's close to it. Everybody seems to be aware when that thing drops. Because we're not doing the objective completely together, but when that thing dropped, all four other people ran over to it. Don't be the dinosaur. It's like, okay, cool. See how those pterodactyls are flying and they not, shoot them. Good God. I hope people enjoy it. I hope the game, I hope it doesn't become a massive loss for Capcom and in a way that they don't keep trying to do stuff. Because that would suck, but it's definitely not going to take off. Like between all of the reviews that I've seen, basically calling it like a 6-point game or a 5 or, a 2 out of 5 or whatever it is, it's not going to be rated well. So it's going to have to rely on the community to prop it up. And that's a tall task.
Oh, this score seems kind of low for this game.
What, a 6 or a 2 out of 5?
Yeah.
I think what the main complaints I've seen is if you don't think that it's interesting how they presented the story, then they automatically look at it as like, that was so stupid of them to do that way. Because again, people act like they want new stuff, but then when they're presented with the new way of doing stuff, they go, it would have just been better if they just had a single player mode. And that way we could have just played through it. It's like, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, people always clamor how they want new things, but they never want new things, actually.
No. This game is a prime example of trying to do things differently. And some people are going to look at it and be like, well, you should have just did it the old way.
Yeah. Why would you try something new? Because you motherfuckers ask for something new.
You literally complain and say everything's the same. This is why I don't listen to people who say like, there's nothing to play right now. I'd be like, you don't want to play games, man. You want to play the game in your brain that's never going to be good enough and doesn't exist. These games are fun. Bro, hitting dinosaurs with mechs in exosuits is fun. I really don't know what else to say about that.
Yeah.
Like, that's a fun thing to do. No actual creatures are being harmed. I get to play in robot suits with technologies and, missiles and giant. There's the tank thing makes his hand real big and he punches stuff. Like, how's that not fun? You guys don't have inner childs. What's wrong with you? But I don't know. I think it's one of those things where Capcom was kind of damned if they did, damned if they didn't. That young lady in there with the red hair is 100% not Regina. That's very clear. And it was very weird that they kind of showed it early on to kind of be like, is she or isn't she? She's definitely not. So.
No. I mean, clearly, she's what's the word? So I can't think right now.
Okay, yeah, because I have no idea.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I want to help you, bud. I really do. I
just want to say inspiration, but no.
Inspired.
Inspired by, yeah, we'll go with that.
Oh, you talking about the visuals of it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, clearly.
Yeah. Yeah, they purposely. That's sometimes Capcom likes to pull the rug from under us. I get it. You want to be funny, be ha. You thought she was, but she not. It's not really funny to us guys. If you want us to tell you, it's not funny to us. Just give us another Dino Crisis.
It's kind of funny to me, but
no, don't play with me like that. Because it's just as bad as them doing another demon looking game and being like, it ain't only Musha.
Yeah, that's the other one that they're trying that a lot of folks are.
Oh, it's gonna be. It's gonna have the same results.
I think so.
It's not gonna be bad at all, but it's gonna just.
It's not gonna be bad, but folks just really aren't gonna. It's like, oh, this is something different. Nah, I don't want to.
Why would you make this?
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, we're gonna call it a week. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube. Finger blast that bell icon so you know when new episodes come out. We are starting to put out shorts. Check those out if you want highlights of the podcast.
TLDR.
Yeah. And make sure you leave a review on where you get your podcasts. We are on Spotify, iTunes, basically anywhere you can get podcasts. And we'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Crossover combination.